Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Mental for Moto introductory episode titled, What's in a Name? I'm your host, Pete Wolf. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, please go back and check it out. It provides a bit of a rundown of our different podcast episode formats and our goals and aspirations moving forward. The general idea to create a Moto podcast first entered my brain about 3 years ago, and over that time, my vision for Mental for Moto has developed and evolved. Apart from my wife, I didn't tell anybody about my idea for over 2 years, and to be honest, just the thought of putting myself out there in this way made me feel anxious and extremely vulnerable. But I've always felt that putting myself in situations I'm uncomfortable with provides an opportunity for growth. And experience has taught me that sometimes you've just got to back yourself and go for it. It's like sending a new jump for the very first time. So here we are. When I finally worked up the guts to tell a riding buddy 6 or so months ago that I wanted to create an MX-related podcast, I was expecting him to scoff and wait for the punchline to my joke. But instead of mocking me, he nodded thoughtfully, pondered for a second, and started firing off questions about what I had planned. His reaction made me realise that my idea could be more than just a pipe dream, and it was just the kick in the pants I needed to start turning my idea into a reality. Since then, I've canvassed my ideas with plenty of riders and a few industry boffins, refined my vision, and invested in the equipment and tools I need to produce a good quality product. One question that has repeatedly come up is about the name Mental for Moto. Well, firstly, the mental in Mental for Moto is a pretty apt description of how excited a lot of fans, myself included, get about Moto. But in the context of the media we're looking to produce, it also has a second meaning. As well as my passion for all things dirt bike related, I also wanted to create something that promotes mental health. Not necessarily looking at ways to fix things once they're broken, but from the perspective of looking at ways to keep our minds healthy and strong in the first place. Sort of looking at Moto as a form of preventative medicine. Through conversations with our guests, I'd really like to touch on some of the mental aspects of motocross. Whether you're a serious racer, a vet rider, a weekend warrior, or a junior rider, I'd like to explore what it is that attracts different people to Moto, what they get out of it, and how some of the things we learn through Moto might translate and help us with our everyday lives. Beyond the obvious fun factor and the buzz we get from twisting that throttle or sending it over a big jump, I'm hoping that the question will occasionally lead to some deeper conversations. To be clear, I'm not looking to turn these pods into psychobabble or a therapy session, and the intention is to keep this aspect of our podcast as fun and lighthearted as possible. Conversations about physical health, training, diet, and the benefits thereof are a part of our daily lives when it comes to sports and recreation. I'd like to approach conversations about mental health, the ingredients for mental health, and the things we can do to promote mental health with the same stigma-free candor. Why do I think this is so important? Well, in the post-COVID world, the cost of living is going through the roof. Interest rates are on the rise, bureaucrats are increasingly taking it upon themselves to meddle with our everyday lives, and so many other stress-causing factors are piling up. It comes as little surprise that mental health issues are also increasing, and tragically, so is the rate of suicide. The need for people to have access to a physical and mental release, something positive to look forward to, and an opportunity to get away from the chaos of daily life for a few hours now and then has arguably never been more important. And that is something, in my opinion, that motocross provides. From my own experience, motocross has definitely been a big factor in my mental health. I had my own skirmish with the black dog a few years ago, right around my 40th birthday, and the days I spent at the track and the support of my riding buddies contributed to me getting through a really tough time in my life. Talking to other riders at the track, I've discovered that my experience isn't that unique. I've heard some amazing stories from other riders about how Moto helped them conquer their own demons. For a couple of riders, it gave them the motivation to lose a ton of excess weight and live healthier lives. For another, it helped him overcome serious substance abuse issues. I know the father of a rider who told me that Moto is how he steered his then teenage son away from a life that would have likely ended up with him in prison or worse. Not everyone's story is quite as dramatic as that, but whether you're a serious racer or a weekend warrior, the common theme is that Moto gives us all something to look forward to and a reason to better ourselves every day. Is this maybe why motocross is still so popular with 30, 40, even 50-year-olds? In fact, the number of older riders lining up at the gate in the vet classes or turning up at the local track on the weekends is often equal to, and sometimes even significantly greater than the number of junior riders. I can think of few other similar sports where this is the case. Moto also gives people a sense of belonging and camaraderie. While this might not always be evident at the highest levels of the sport, it's certainly something that's pretty easy to see at the more modest levels. Whether on the track, in the pits, or in the car park, if you have an issue, someone will almost always step up to help. It's a real community in every sense of the word. And Moto is also a great way to bring families together. Whether through racing or just weekend riding, Moto requires a level of dedication, preparation, teamwork, and sacrifice. It provides an opportunity for families to tackle and overcome challenges together, and it can teach kids some important life lessons. Of course, for all the good stuff, there are also some obvious negatives. Riding a dirt bike comes with inherent risk, and anybody who has participated in Moto for a significant period of time is likely to have experienced some sort of decent crash. Injury recovery, pain management, time off work, relationship strain, financial impacts, social isolation. These are just some of the things riders and their families may have had to deal with. So I'm sure these are topics that are going to come up now and then. But with all that said, these podcasts will be about Moto, primarily focused on Australian Moto and Aussie riders competing overseas. And the mental side is not always going to come up. But over time, this is a theme I would definitely like to cover, as there are plenty of experienced riders who have a few life laps under their belts who I'm sure will be able to share some insight that we can all learn from and apply not only at the track, but off the track as well. And that's the introduction to the Mental for Moto podcast in the bag. It's now time to move on to the good stuff. Please check out our website, www.mentalformoto.com. Follow us on the usual platforms and keep an eye out for more content in the very near future. As I said previously, we've got some great things planned. If you like what we're doing, have a cool story you'd like to share, are interested in supporting Mental for Moto as a sponsor, or have any other thoughts or feedback related to this episode, please reach out via email, contact@mentalformoto.com, or DM me via social media. And finally, if you feel like life's presenting you with an uphill battle and you're struggling to make any headway, please reach out to a friend, a riding buddy, a family member, or hell, if there's no one else, shoot me a private message. A conversation won't fix all your problems instantly, but I guarantee you aren't as alone in this world as you might feel. Until next time, peace out. From here on in, it's all about Moto.